Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. If you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link in the description. I'm a helpless caffeine addict, and I record most of these in the middle of the night, so feel free to help me out a bit. So today I wanted to talk about another cool fossil insect find, and this is a fossil insect that was caught in the middle of hatching. Actually, multiple fossil insects. So this is an extremely rare, probably completely unique fossil that was reported on in 2019. And this was an amber specimen collected out of Lebanon of several lacewing larvae. So the first question that needs to be answered for those of you who don't know is, what is a lacewing? And this is the order Neuroptera, which is what you see here. These chrysopids, the green lacewings, are pretty common. They are all predatory. If you have a light outside at night, that especially in the summer, that a lot of insects come to, you will frequently find these guys preying on the smaller insects flying around the light. So these will also be flying around quite a bit. They're all predators, and they have very distinctive larvae. So the Neuroptera in general, this is what a Neuropteran larva looks like. This isn't what a chrysopid larva looks like. Generally, chrysopids have a longer body, thinner body, but the Neuroptera are very easy to distinguish, partially because of their head structures. They have these enormous scythe-like jaws that they use to pierce their prey and inject digestive fluids and poisons into generally. But they have a very, very distinctive look. These are some of the first holometabolous insects, which are the insects that evolved metamorphosis. So these are some of the first truly larval insects, as opposed to insects with a nymphal stage. So in this paper, The Hatching Mechanism of 130 Million-Year-Old Insects, an association of neonates, eggshells, and egg bursters in Lebanese amber, they found a very unlikely scenario. A bunch of Neuropteran larvae, first instars, had just hatched from their eggs when they got trapped in resin. And these first instars were trapped with their egg remnants. So a very, very unlikely scenario. And this amber fossil of baby insects has shed some light on the evolution of hatching mechanisms. So one of the things that all animals with eggs have to deal with is you need a solution for how do the little fragile baby animals get out of the egg. Some chew through the shell. Some are born particularly muscular and can force their way, just break the shell. And others have evolved something called an egg burster, which is what is visible in these insects. And egg bursters are kind of like little external teeth that can be used to slice through the eggshell like a knife, or to crack through using this very, very sharp tooth or saw blade or spike. It has various forms depending on the animal that has them. But then they are immediately lost. So they're extremely temporary, and they tend to be very small. So they generally don't preserve in the fossil record at all. So this is actually the first case in which one of these egg bursters has actually been found. So among the remains, researchers found these egg bursters attached to the exoskeleton of the embryos, which are still attached to the egg casings, left behind by these larvae that you see here. The arrangement of these guys, which can be kind of hard to see, is better when it's illustrated. So you can see the illustration versus the actual insects here. You can see that they are kind of dramatically being pushed away from the eggs. The eggs are represented by these kind of gray blobs, pieces of the eggs. And what is likely happening here is that they hatched, they're crawling out, and then the resin comes in and kind of traps them and starts pushing them away. And another piece of the amber, this amber was fractured. You have two more larvae, which you can see again are being kind of dramatically pushed out. You have more egg remnants down here, and they have been flipped over, so the resin kind of came in and pushed them away. This discovery marks the first definitive fossil evidence of these egg bursters. The egg bursters suggest that modern lacewings, the chrysopids, have retained this same method. The structures in modern chrysopids and these fossils are homologous, and so these structures are old, very old, at least dating back to the early Cretaceous, possibly older, and it highlights this sort of evolutionary conservatism over the course of millions of years in these hatching processes. If we look at what remains of the egg bursters here, so these are pieces of the egg. So in the fossil, these are fossil amber here, these are pieces of the egg, and these are the drawings of them. This outer portion here is the egg chorion, or the shell. And this little opening here with the white arrow is the micropyle. So this little opening here would be the micropyle. This is where the sperm enters the egg for fertilization. And the remnants of the embryonic cuticle, so the skin that is shed by the insect as soon as it hatches, is left attached to the egg. And this, with the black arrow, is the egg burster, or the little spike tooth that is used to break through the eggshell. And you can see the micropyle here on a different egg. Here's the egg burster attached. And then on the original, here's the micropyle again. Here's the egg burster attached. So what happens with these exoskeletons, why they're still attached to the egg? Basically, the larva inside the egg uses this egg burster to slit open longitudinally or vertically along the egg's chorion, and then it starts to push through. And as it's pushing through, it kind of gets out, and its larval body is still kind of trapped within this exoskeleton that it has on, this embryonic exoskeleton. And as it comes through, it begins the molting process, and the remnants of the molted skin are left with the old eggshell. Here you can see what modern Neuroptera eggs look like. They're generally laid on these stalks, like little flowers. And next to it here, these are the remnants of the embryonic exoskeletons left behind on the eggs. So you can see the little structure. So this is the micropyle, and this is the skin with the little egg burster attached. So you have more skins here with the little spiky egg burster attached, micropyle of the egg, micropyle of the egg, micropyle of the egg, more and more little larvae, larval of the embryonic exoskeletons attached. So this still occurs in modern insects, and you can see a similar process happening in this fossil. Additionally, something that we see on these fossils that you don't really see in modern Neuroptera, all these little tubercles or tendrils that you see attached coming off the dorsum of the insect, the dorsum being the back of the insect. These kind of tendrils, these tentacles, these tubercles, are thought to be used as part of an elaborate defense mechanism in these species. There are a few neuropterans that have these, but when you look in the fossil record, they used to be much more common. And how these work is these little tubercles hold on to debris, and this debris is carried around with the larva and acts as camouflage and as a physical shield against predators. The ones that you see now, they're not particularly common, are things like the trash bugs and the garbage bugs, which is what you see here. You can't really see the insect. The insect is under here, and this is all the debris it's collected, and it just sticks it to its back. And so now predators and wasps and things can't get through all of this garbage to its soft cuticles, and they just walk around like this. It's kind of ridiculous. This is a artist's recreation of what these guys probably looked like when they shed their skin and hatched out of their little eggs. These tubercles are unique in that they're much longer than what you see on modern Neuroptera. So this is evidence that they're not really related to the same species that we see nowadays. And interestingly, they're completely bare, which is another piece of evidence from the fossils that these are fresh hatchlings. They haven't even had time to collect debris to attach to these tubercles yet. These egg burst structures have evolved multiple times across various animal groups, including fish and birds and reptiles and insects, all sorts of things. However, their presence in the lacewing seems to be homologous with modern lacewings, showing that it's an evolutionarily preserved trait and can be considered a defining trait for the group. This discovery also supports the idea that there is quite a bit of usefulness in embryonic traits when trying to figure out the relationship of various organisms across millions of years. So I will link the paper in the description. This is open access, so you should all have access to it. It's not a particularly long paper, maybe about 13 pages, lots of images, a quick read, but it's definitely interesting, and I'll talk to you guys later.